Hello, everybody, and welcome back to We Bought a Mic, a pop culture podcast here for good mic hunting. I almost forgot the name.
Good pod fire cast.
Yeah, Mrs. Doubtcast.
I don't know. I think maybe we could have thought of this
Mrs. Podfire.
like 30 seconds before we started.
Yeah.
I almost said good Nick hunting.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh.
My brain just flashed back. It's probably because I just bought tickets. I forgot to tell you guys this. Bought tickets to see Face Off at the NZN.
What?
Oh shit.
When
So
are they
you're
doing
ready to
that?
go.
In like 2 weeks.
Oh man,
we're going, baby.
Yeah, we have to go.
meet
Yeah.
and greet.
Yeah.
We'll set up a little
We're
table.
storming the
we're
stage.
doing a live We Bought a Nick like during the movie, in the theater.
We're here to talk about one of Robin Williams' most successful movies, biggest hits, Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yeah.
I'm Ernest.
Sink the weasel, sink the sub, hide the weasel, park the porpoise. A little bit of the old Humpty Dumpty, little Jack Horny. The horizontal mambo, the bone dancer, rumple foreskin, baloney bob, a bit of the cunning linguistics. I am Hunter.
And I'm Drew, and I'm now I think I'm a Pierce Brosnan rights activist.
Oh, he got
Why?
shafted.
Why is he so mean to Pierce?
Yeah.
Just
Well, this
hearing
is pre-Bond.
Pierce is like a good. I kept waiting for like a heel turn where it's like,
No.
oh, dude, Pierce is actually using her for
And
money.
He's
That's
like literally an okay guy,
Yeah.
and he's like smoking hot.
He wants to be a wife
He's
guy.
so hot.
What's the fucking problem, man?
And joining us today, returning for his second time on the show, Mr. Javi Navarro. Welcome back to the
Good
show.
to be back. Thank you.
How you
Thank you.
doing?
I'm great. Glad to be chilling with y'all, hanging out on the pad.
This is a good movie to talk about.
You chose this movie
Yes.
when I reached out to you about the Robin series.
I'm so glad.
Why
Yeah.
did you choose this movie?
I was first of all shocked that I even got Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yeah, it's like on the Mount Rushmore for him. It has to
Oh
be.
yeah. But I have to say I'm also a Pierce Brosnan fan, even when this movie came out, because I was a big gamer boy when this came out, and GoldenEye was already out at the time.
Yes.
And I was a big Pierce Brosnan fan just because of the games,
Yeah,
Some,
be like,
somewhat
oh,
because of the movies.
he's my
but when I
favorite
saw him-
snowmobiler.
He makes it look so good. It's so smooth. But when I saw Pierce
this was
Brosnan,
2 years before GoldenEye.
yeah, it's true. And I can't remember. I must have seen it at some point as a kid after GoldenEye had come out. Because I remember thinking like, he's not Bond, but I like this movie and it's for me. Like, at least it was
Absolutely.
like for kids, because I hadn't seen him in anything else really.
Yeah, it's funny because like this movie gets airplay on like ABC Family, or I'm sorry, Freeform.
Mhm.
Yeah, how
And it's
fucking,
like-
we got cease and desist, like as you said that.
It's like
Mm-mm.
PG-13 as fuck. Like there's a lot of like heavy divorce drama.
What I was just reading, the quote is just what Robin Williams as Mrs. Doubtfire is talking to Pierce Brosnan about while he's like undercover on a date, and it's just like very overt sexual innuendo,
Yeah.
like to the point where there just isn't sexual, and it's not even innuendo at a certain point. He straight up says like, "Oh, watch out, she has crabs." He also says,
In her
I only
pussy.
I only read half of that quote. That's just the sexy part of the quote. He also says, "Oh, I'm sorry, am I being a little graphic? Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I hope you're up for a little competition. She's got a power tool in the bedroom, dear. It's her own
Whoa.
personal jackhammer. She can break sidewalk with that thing." Fucking what? This is a children's movie, and we're talking about a vibrator.
I think kids should learn about sex toys from a very young
Honestly,
age.
yeah. Well,
Natural
speaking
I
of
learned about it when I was like 3 years still in the womb. I was still fermenting.
Ew.
go ahead, Javi.
No, yeah. I mean, if you're a kid and you need to know the basics on double entendres, this is your jam. Because Robin Williams, literally in that dinner scene, he just goes off on this whole like soliloquy of just sex talk. I wrote down one. The only one I wrote down was going down payment. And, first of all, Kudos, Hunter, on nailing the best ones.
Yeah. It's also that whole sequence is sort of implying that like he hasn't gotten laid yet by Sally Field, and he bought her this jewelry so he could finally fuck her. They've been together a while, man. I hope he's. Sally Field is so horny for him.
Yeah, that's one of the things I clocked is like scene 1. We're getting a divorce.
Yeah,
like maybe not scene 1, but like scene 1 between Robin and Sally.
Well, because scene 1, he's a fucking shithead.
Yeah, he's just like, I'm going to bring literally a zoo to the house.
Hey,
I'm gonna quit my job.
Maybe did you think that maybe he's an epic dad?
Well, no, here's the thing is that I wondered, did he buy that zoo?
Oh, he did not. He rented it. It was on lease.
That's the problem. Now, if he or the colloquial would have bought a zoo.
Matt Damon.
Yeah.
Well, you can't just buy a zoo. You have to buy a house that just so happens to have a zoo attached to it.
So one thing that I had totally forgotten about this movie, I hadn't seen this since I was a wee boy, is that we open with probably like 5 minutes of him doing VO for a like a 1950s style.
Yes.
I taught Putty Tat cartoon.
So
he's like playing himself.
He's doing a miraculous job. He's doing all the voices with no cuts. He's switching characters. And meanwhile, like his boss is like, you can't put another line in, like you piece. This is costing us studio hours. It's like no one else could do all these voices at once, first of all.
Well, yeah. I mean, animation directors, they give them pushback. This is a thing.
It does show like that opening scene is like, man, it almost is too bad that Robin Williams is as famous and as talented as he is, because otherwise he would have just been like the best voice actor ever.
Yeah, he would have just been like Mel Blanc.
Like, yeah, there's no reason why you couldn't just be Frank Welker if you wanted to.
So this movie comes out in 1993, and this kind of kickstarts a little bit of like the run that Robin goes on,
because like a money run.
Yeah, because Aladdin, I think you could say, is part of that, but we don't see his face in that movie. So I think it's like, I don't know. Like, what do you think, Javi? Would you classify Aladdin as like a Robin Williams movie? Because it kind of is, but we don't see his face. I feel like it starts with this movie, really.
I haven't seen the movie in a while, but when I think Aladdin, like Genie for sure is like either the first thing I think of or neck and neck with Aladdin. So it's hard
who is named Aladdin. So that's really
tough beat for our guy.
Sorry,
pretty
Scott
bad.
Winger.
Yeah. Just give it to the blue guy. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we're after this one, like we start to get into like the real heavy hitters, but like I feel like everything up until this point, this, I don't know, guys. Like I really like this movie. I enjoy it for what it is, but like it's one of those movies where it's like it only works because it's Robin Williams. It's an example of, and we'll get to like some of the things, some of the aspects of this film that like would not fly in 2022
just like,
America.
Just like one or two.
Definitely.
But like this is just one of those things, like it could only have happened in 1993 with Robin Williams.
For sure.
And it works just because of that. I think if you do it with any other actor or at any other time period, it falls apart. And I think it works just because it's like right star at the right time. And it's just an example of like the star power that Robin had at this point in his career. He was like kind of unstoppable, with a movie like this.
Because you have to be on board with him doing a lot of really dumb bad things.
Right.
You have to already like him, because the movie isn't giving you a ton of things to love up front. Like obviously he's lovable. He's written to be lovable, but the script doesn't do a good enough job. And they're very lucky that Robin is doing the job he's doing. He's carrying the weight of like, why do I not want this guy to go to jail?
This movie was the number 2 highest grossing movie worldwide of the year.
Yeah.
Behind Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
We used to be a society.
That's insane. Like it's because of Robin Williams. Like there's nothing else about this movie other than him that, could make it be that massive of a hit, right?
I definitely, That's definitely true. And I think that's a really good point. Like when I think about this movie, and I had a similar thought too, like if this movie came out now, like there's this whimsy tied behind all the dark stuff that goes on. Like now, like a lot of media lives in cringe. I would love to see a modern take on that because there would be so much to play with. But this movie, if they made it this tone, like today, it would just be like an Oscar bait movie. It would just have pretty much have been done, you know?
Yeah.
It's Eddie Redmayne is Mrs. Doubtfire.
It's Marriage Story.
This is also kind of this is like right in the middle of a little bit of a run for our guy Chris Columbus too.
So this is right after Home Alone.
So he has Home Alone in 1990.
Well, no, you got to start in 1492 though.
Yeah. When he did sail the ocean blue. But then he went
in this house.
Christopher
Columbus is a hero. And that's final.
Yeah.
Forget about it.
He also he wrote Gremlins 1.
Yeah, he wrote Gremlins, but then he directed Home Alone. And then Home Alone 2 is in 92, then Mrs. Doubtfire in 93, 9 Months, which I believe Robin Williams is also in that movie. And then Bicentennial Man 99.
Oh, we'll talk about
Sorcerer's Stone, Chamber of Secrets, Rent, going all the way up into the early
I
to mid
forgot
2000s.
he does the first two.
Oh
Harry
yeah.
Potter
And then he
movies.
continues to produce beyond that, I'm pretty sure. Like
Yeah.
He's involved. He
And
does
then-
Azkaban.
I mean, and then, he takes his hiatus, works on his passion projects, Percy Jackson, The Olympians, The Lightning Thief,
Passion projects.
Pixels.
Wow. Good
So
for
let's
him.
have a comeback for Chris Columbus now.
real quick before we get away from box office land, since I have the page pulled up, who wants to guess the rest of the top 5?
So the year is 1993.
So number 1, Jurassic Park, then Mrs. Doubtfire.
I'm just gonna Google 1993 movies.
What's number 3? You want to take a crack at it?
How
Javi?
much money did number 3 make?
Let's see.
Are we talking domestic or worldwide? Which
Is
one should I look
number
at?
3 Schindler's List?
Schindler's List is in the top 5 worldwide. It's at
That's-
number 4.
Wow.
That's insane that we lived in a world where Schindler's List was one of the highest grossing movies. What about Philadelphia?
Philadelphia is number 9 worldwide.
Okay. Adam's Family Values. Is that on there?
Yo,
I don't see it on here.
Oh, okay.
Gilbert Grape.
I'll give you a clue. I did not kill my wife.
Yo, I love The Fugitive.
Yeah. that makes sense. That 93 is
That's a great. That movie.
nice.
Fun fact: invented the TNT network.
Yeah. Yeah, the Dad Movie Network. What
Damn it.
a time. Jurassic Park, Mrs. Doubtfire,
Oh man.
and The Fugitive were the highest grossing movies of the year. And Hunter's most rewatchable movie of all time, Schindler's List. Gotta
Mhm.
give that a
Mhm.
shout out.
Mhm.
Also,
Once in a
The
lifetime.
Firm.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if The Firm was high up there because this is
People love The Firm. They just needed to go to the movies to see The Firm.
Is that a Grisham?
Yeah,
I
with
knew it.
Tom
Of course it is.
Cruise.
Yeah, dude, it's 93. Tom Cruise could not miss.
Yeah.
Sleepless in Seattle's got to be high up there,
Yeah,
right? Where's
yeah.
that?
That's number 5
That's
domestic.
number 5. Okay.
I love that movie.
Yeah,
It's gotta be
I just saw that movie like
Oh.
this year.
Oh,
Hell yeah!
fucking incredible.
It's a killer. Rudy got to be up there. Rudy did well, right?
I'm trying to flip back between domestic and worldwide, but I don't.
Yeah, I
really
don't
see
think
it
I don't
too
think
high,
Rudy
no.
brings an international audience.
See, Sleepless is number 5 domestic, but worldwide it just didn't hit. Like people around the globe needed dinosaurs and Robin Williams.
Dinosaurs are universal.
So the thing is with Robin Williams, it's kind of something that we've touched on that I think we touched on early in this whole series is that one of the reasons why Robin Williams kind of translated so well is because he has a very it's pop culture driven as humor, but it's also very physical.
Yeah.
And physical humor translates across cultures.
Yeah, he do voice.
It's undeniable.
He do funny voice. He look funny.
That's true.
People see that and they're like, "Oh, I know Reagan. I see that man on the news."
Yeah.
And some of the funniest parts of this movie are like the physical comedy too, because even seeing like Robin Williams freak out in the kitchen multiple times, like
Yeah,
I still
it's-
laugh a bunch.
It's
Yeah.
classic of him just like he's trying to like jump back and forth between like face on, face off.
My favorite thing about him in this movie is whenever he's changing and like someone is in the other room, he feels the need to fill every moment with him speaking in character voices when he could just change quietly instead of I'll be right out.
You guys know that
God
about
save
me
the
though.
queen.
Every time that I'm getting dressed, I want to let you know like underwear's on,
yeah, exactly.
left sock is up.
Hunter will be right out. Okay, So this social worker woman, she knows like right away. Like, come on.
No, he's like, he's got something going on. No, well, my question is more so because she says like, oh, there's an older woman living with him. She comes to be his sister. You know that like Sally Fields is ratting him out to the social worker, and she's just being like, he doesn't have a sister. Mm-hmm. So then the social worker is like, damn, this guy got single. He's just like trying to just get with this old lady, man. Like he's trying to rock the fucking rock the grave a little bit.
Exactly like him.
That's pretty hot.
Look, we've all had that like Arrested Development moment in our lives where we just want to like have sex with somebody who's the same as us.
Wait, hold on a second. How tall was Robin Williams? Because Mrs. Doubtfire looks
she's like 6'7". She's basically a left tackle for the 49ers.
She's wearing heels. It's
Robin was 5'7".
Wow.
Mrs. Doubtfire looks like at least 6'1".
Damn,
that's wild.
Like she's got some stilettos on.
She's a big boy. Yeah.
that bus driver. He wanted to get with Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yeah, a lot of that going on.
Justice for the bus driver. We need to set them up.
He fucks with the hairy legs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, you saw that. He wasn't turned off immediately.
He likes that Mediterranean look.
Exactly.
he knows what's going on. I think he knows everything.
Here's the thing: is that it was 1993. I guess 1992, if we're being technical with this. So you're saying like that is like a long time ago, different time and place. But San Francisco was ahead of the curve, all right?
Yes.
You couldn't have set Mrs. Doubtfire in like Topeka, or else he's just getting shot.
Right.
Like Mrs. Doubtfire is dying.
Yeah, then you have Boys Don't Cry.
Oh my God. So I have a couple notes about that because that's one of the things about this movie that like it's kind of icky.
Of course.
Like, dude looks like a lady.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Aerosmith needle drop.
Yeah. The song is prominently featured in the film.
It must have been in the commercials for it. Yeah.
Okay. So I actually wrote this down. So because I could not believe my ears when I heard this song in the movie. And then I just wrote down in my notes like, oh my fucking God, this needle drop. But then I went on a bit of a Wikipedia wormhole. And like, if you go to the Wikipedia article for Dude Looks Like a Lady, there's a blurb that talks about Mrs. Doubtfire. And this is what it says. In 1993, the song was prominently featured in the film Mrs. Doubtfire during a montage of the main character bonding with his family in disguise as a woman. The song was also used in the film's TV ads.
Yeah.
Randy Mayhem Singer, the writer of Mrs. Doubtfire, credits Dude Looks Like a Lady as one of the most important songs ever written and as the direct influence for writing the script.
Wait,
wow.
So this man was just hanging out. It was in 1987.
No. This is a woman. Randy is a woman.
Oh, okay. So she was just like, went to the store, picked up Permanent Vacation on vinyl in 1987. It was putting it on. It was just like, Dude Looks Like a Lady came on. It was like, hold everything, and just started getting out a pen and a piece of paper and just writing. Just couldn't stop her.
What if a dude were to look like a lady? I've never thought of this.
She was quoted as saying that without Dude Looks Like a Lady, there would not be Mrs. Doubtfire.
Wow. Those big shoes.
Man,
Steven Tyler. The influence.
Yeah.
A revolutionary.
If he didn't look like a lady, there might not be Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yeah.
And Steven Tyler was so good in this movie. Yeah.
There's other things in this Wikipedia page for this song that like really point to controversy around it. Like apparently Caitlyn Jenner said that it was like her anthem. Like there's just like weird. This is just not the kind of song that would play today at all.
Well,
but it was huge. It was huge to the point where it was used in the marketing for this movie.
It's crazy how much it's changed because there's even like the subtle trans panic throughout the movie. Like like when she's calling, or when Daniel is calling his wife about the ad, and one of his like absolutely no-go babysitters was just a woman who used to be a man.
Yeah,
That
she
was
says
tough.
literally yikes. Which
yeah.
is
And Sally
exactly
Field just like
what I
hangs
said.
up the fucking phone. She's like, well, absolutely not.
Or
Yeah.
when his son watches him pee
Bro.
in the
Yeah.
bathroom,
Yeah.
and he's
It's
like,
just
I
like,
need to call the police.
I have
Call
to
the cops
kill this
right
fucking-
now.
I have to kill
Mrs.
this
Doubtfire
person.
has a penis. We need
Like-
to shoot her on site.
That is a woof.
Yeah.
Also-
moment.
And then also when he knows it's his own dad, and he's like, I can't hug you quite yet. Jesus
Yeah, it's a
Christ.
guy thing.
Chris is MAGA.
I will say that moment though, when they realize that he's under the makeup, that is one of the best moments in the movie. Despite the ickiness like that happened 2 seconds before, I like that they don't drag that out further, because it's like at that point you're just like, let's get to the point where they find out.
So it sounds weird to say in a movie like this where their dad is literally covered in like 50 pounds of prosthetics, that this movie is like a smart movie, but it kind of does follow the logic that it establishes for itself in a really smart way, where it's just like, okay, we'll move past the fact that like none of you can recognize that this is like your husband of 14 years or like this is your dad. We'll move past that fact. Once we accept that reality, we can kind of work in the parameters of what would be realistic in this world. My guy Robin is going to want to fucking take down his stockings as soon as he gets a chance and let those hairy boys breathe.
Harry.
They know like,
Real hairy.
hey, you two are older. You're both like 13, 15. Y'all can keep a secret. We can't tell the 5-year-old because like she's incapable of keeping a secret. Like that's a smart storytelling choice. Because in real life, it's like, do you know how much fucking little kids talk? Like that kid's just like blabbing in
That's
2
daddy.
minutes. Yeah.
She's a little cutie pie.
Isn't that Matilda?
It's Matilda. Yeah.
It's Mara Wilson. Yeah, that's
Good,
her name.
just good kid acting all around in this movie.
Yeah, Chris Columbus,
Legend.
good director. That's why
Yes,
they
I get-
gave him Harry Potter.
Yeah, he knows how to direct kids.
So okay, so I want to backtrack to like the very beginning of the movie real quick, because I wanted to ask you something, Javi. So we have a Lost Boy to Neverland episode of this podcast on the movie Hook that I fucked up the recording and nobody heard except us.
Wow, I forgot.
It's lost to the bowels of time forever.
And
That's fucked.
in that episode, have you ever seen that movie, by the way, Hook?
I think I saw it part of it like a long time ago, but I haven't seen it
Okay.
in its entirety.
So the premise is Robin Williams plays Peter Pan, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So in that movie, at the beginning of the movie, Robin plays a dad, just much like in this movie. And in that movie, Peter Pan as a dad is portrayed to be like the worst dad ever. He has very important papers and very important phone calls.
He's an actuary, and he's like, "Don't you understand the risk of throwing a baseball?"
Yeah.
Fucking annoying.
And I could not help but think about that at the beginning of this movie, where Robin is like an epic fun dad. And he just makes Peter Pan look like Tony Soprano. Like he's such a good, like fun dad. Later on, we find out a little too fun.
He's a bad dad. He's a bad
Oh no,
father.
yeah. He's a classic dad who you like end up going to therapy about because you're like, God, my dad's like my best friend.
You know how
And
you
it's
know?
like, well, he's not
Yeah.
your dad though.
My
so
dad is
that would've
an
been
old
nice to have a
Scottish
parent.
lady.
Here's how you know that he's a really bad dad is he goes and picks up the kids from school, and he's like, they're like, "Oh, aren't you working? I thought you couldn't pick us up." He's like, "No, I got off early." And his daughter immediately says, "Oh, you got fired."
Yeah, his 5-year-old daughter is just like, nah, that means fired.
It's just like he cannot. All he does is funny voice, and he can't keep that job. He's offended by a cartoon smoking a cigarette, and then when he's quitting, he does a Gandhi impersonation and walks out the door.
Oh man, this whole intro is like lightning quick too. Because when that first scene when he's picking up his kids, it's like impression.
It's just all impressions. Yeah, this whole movie is like an impression reel for him. He does all of his voices.
Whenever he goes to the unemployment office,
Yes.
it's just a supercut of the
that's the
impressions.
Robinism.
It's
right
so
there.
good. Yeah,
it's
it's
one of my
incredible.
favorites.
I just was like, give me like 45 more minutes of these bits.
Yeah.
Also,
I do voices.
so he's doing like what seems like a pretty decent production cartoon, and he doesn't have an agent. Obviously, he goes to a normal unemployment office and he says, "I do voices." He doesn't know how anything works.
Yeah, this is a grown-ass man with 3 children.
He's a dead, and yet he does like get a petting zoo to come over, like with like a moment's notice, because he wasn't planning on.
No, well, did you see?
Early.
It's petting zoo on the go. It's a mobile petting zoo. They come to you.
So Javi, what did you think of like this opening chunk because like we said earlier, it introduces the divorce, like pretty much the first interaction that we get with Sally Fields. So it's like, did you think that the movie does a good job of like setting all of that up with like how he is as a dad and then what leads to the whole divorce?
I think it does a decent job. It's like mostly efficient. Like you get the whole background on Robin Williams. You spend all that time with him in the beginning before Sally Fields even comes into play. So you definitely get more of his side. But when I'm watching that scene, all the animals are there, I'm like, damn, I would not want to clean that up. So it's like you feel her pain and she is like the goat eats her begonias, you know, and that would piss me off.
She says it to the goat's face.
There's a pony too, right? Was that a goat or a pony?
There's both inside of this house.
Okay, so there are multiple animals.
Those are both mainstays of your regular like on the go petting zoo.
Right. What about?
I'm really upset that you guys didn't get me an on the go petting zoo for my last birthday.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Like what the fuck was that?
Well, that's because that's inhumane.
I do want to ask you.
PETA called on us.
As to Javi, I don't know if your parents are divorced or not, but I do want to ask: does this go on the Mount Rushmore of divorced parents movies?
I mean, you got to tell me. I don't know.
Because does it go up there with like Marriage Story and Kramer versus Kramer? Sure. I don't think so. But
that's so funny because I literally had those 2 movies in mind. Like at starting the movie, I thought, wow, I wish I'd seen Kramer versus Kramer because I feel like that's gonna be like a nice gauge for this. But I definitely saw Marriage Story.
No. Yeah,
Dustin Hoffman comes in as Tootsie.
Yeah,
it's just like
Robin Williams also abused Sally Fields like. Hoffman, Dustin Hoffman abused Meryl Streep on the set of Kramer versus Kramer.
I googled divorce movies. The first one that pops up is House of Gucci.
Oh,
is House of Gucci on the divorced parents Mount Rushmore? Let's go, baby.
Yeah. Spoilers for House of Gucci, but
spoilers for real life. Gucci family didn't exactly make it out okay.
Adam Driver, not the winner on that divorce.
Did they
the weird thing, it's hard to make a divorced parents Hall of Fame because like 3 of the 4 are just Baumbach movies. Like Squid and the Whale is also just on there, and it's like, well, are we just doing? I guess it's like Boyhood on there. I don't want to put Boyhood on anything.
Well, I was thinking about Marriage Story when the social worker comes. That whole scene where he's like fumbling around, changing back and forth from Robin to Doubtfire. I was like, this is Adam Driver cutting his wrist open in Marriage Story. Like he got this energy from this scene. And all I could think about was like, lady, either you're the worst social worker ever, or you know exactly what's going on and you're just letting it happen.
I think she is just bad. I think she doesn't care.
Do you know how much? Do you know how much social workers have to do and how little they get paid? I think that's the thing.
Just letting it slide.
I would think she has it more together, except for the point where like Mrs. Doubtfire is literally dripping meringue into her tea. And she's like, oh, well, I guess I should try some too.
That was fucking insane.
Well, I think there's so many moments in this movie where it's just like it's just a wacky movie. Like you're not meant to actually hold any level of realism to any of these moments.
10 plot holes in Mrs. Doubtfire. Like fucking like cinema sins just being like, pausing it at the very beginning, like none of this would ever happen. The end.
Number 5, transphobia. Oh man. I mean that's the thing is like you could write like a think piece on like the horrors of revisiting Mrs. Doubtfire in 2022. And like, I don't know. I feel like
I don't care. I'm sorry. I don't fucking care. Like yes, this movie wouldn't get made anymore. Maybe that's good that it doesn't get made anymore. But it's also like we said at the top, this is a Robin Williams staple. Like you're not like, this is one of Robin Williams' most iconic performances.
It's also not like egregious.
It's not, he's not playing it. The thing is that he's not playing it in I don't want to say in not an offensive way, because I'm not in the place to kind of make a statement like that, but he's not playing up the trans aspect for laughs.
Right.
He's if anything, he's like making fun of like old British women.
Right.
But also it's about damn time someone took them down a peg.
The way I see it is
the Crown, we're looking at you.
It's more drag than anything. And drag is different than you know, transsexuality. Like those are two, I mean, obviously like there's some overlap, but those are two completely different things. And this is what he's doing is more so drag. And that in the 90s, I feel like that was already like more of a established cultural reference point for people to grab onto. Obviously, like
safer.
Yeah.
Obviously, like we've come a long way since 93 in terms of like accepting trans people in society, but they've always been there. And I'm sure that like trans people watched this movie in 1993 and they're like, you know, I don't know how I feel about this, but I don't think that's what the movie is going for. It's not trying to play into that space. It's more so drag. At least that's how I see it. There are specific moments where it's like actively, there are jokes where it's like actively like trying to go in that direction.
So here's the thing is that I think that Robin Williams kind of diffuses a lot of the tension, a lot of the like anxiety that would come around a role like that, because Robin Williams is just like a naturally silly guy. Not to jump ahead to like the recasting couch, but there's a big one who was originally offered the role of Daniel Hilliard, Mrs. Doubtfire. Do you know who it is?
There's a couple. I know the original one that they had in mind, because this was based on a book or a short story or something like that. And the writer of that book was like involved in the pre-production, and they wanted Warren Beatty.
Yeah, Warren Beatty, which that's weird, but that's not as bad as the other one that I saw who actually got offered the role and denied it is Tim Allen. If Tim Allen is Mrs. Doubtfire, this movie is fucking canceled because of everything surrounding what we know about Tim Allen as a human being, who's just a rotten fucking person.
Right.
Because you know Republicans are actually the minority, and they're actually the most oppressed. White men are so oppressed in Hollywood these days. Fuck Tim Allen. But
you can't even like accidentally electrocute yourself anymore.
You can't do a Nixon impression through a lobster anymore. Just can't.
You can't even say like anymore.
You guys might be stoked to know that Mrs. Doubtfire is coming back to Broadway in a new show. Have you guys seen this?
So they had a run of it that shut down when the pandemic hit.
I see.
Yeah, and it hasn't come back. Has it?
I saw a webpage. It says they're coming back April 14th. So all those Broadway kids out there.
Yeah, it is.
I was looking at the cast. It looks like they diversified a little bit. I'm sure they had to change some of the story. But as far as like coming back to the story in modern times, I guess there's something there. You know what I mean? But for the most part, for the time, there was mostly tasteful about it, at least. Mostly credit to Robin Williams, because it couldn't.
Well, this role in the wrong hands, more than even like the director here. If you give this lead role in the wrong hands, it gets icky, and more so than like just kind of looking at it from a 2022 lens. It's tough. Movies like this, it's hard to. It puts you in a tough place where like you can't help but think about things in like the Twitter sphere in the way that you know, for lack of a better term, like kind of woke culture that we are in now. But also like you do kind of have to have a little bit of separation, because that's just not. This was probably at the time seen as a pretty progressive film.
Right.
Like in 1993, it's like, oh man, they went there. They like had a person in drag was the lead of the movie.
I mean, I don't know. We don't need to spend a bunch of time defending this movie. The movie actually did pretty well. So I don't think that it's in trouble.
Well, it's not defending. I think it's just like examining why there's something about it that feels off.
I know.
I feel like you can still watch it.
Yeah. The thing is, I feel like we're talking about a discourse that I've never seen before.
I saw this on Letterboxd before.
No, I don't think it's about a discourse. I think it's just like I just felt it watching the movie. It's not about the discourse.
Yeah. We could say this about like a lot of movies. Just like, you watch and you're like, wow, things were very different.
Right.
Extremely. And now they're different than that. And that's better.
But I think with this movie specifically, I think what makes it special is that you can still watch it. It hasn't like completely disintegrated because of the way our culture has shifted. It's like there's something about, and maybe 10 years from now things will be even more different, but I feel like the Robin factor in this movie is enough to keep it somewhat timeless. Even if there are things about it that feel off, you can still look at it and be like, okay, as a Robin Williams movie and as a powerhouse comedic performance, it still has value, even if like there are some things that are just like kind of off about it. And it's, you just have to see it in both. You have to be able to hold two things at once, I think.
For sure. It's definitely, I just couldn't help it thinking about it, but it just matters that I can enjoy the movie still. So I'm glad for that, at least.
Speaking of
switching gears, sorry, I didn't mean to bust off your transition with another transition.
I was just gonna talk about this canceled sequel. Did you see this on the Wikipedia?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So just speaking of the Broadway play, that's another thing that like they were trying to get off the ground, and obviously it died when Robin died, but they were trying to do a part 2. Like what would
part 2?
That's right. Like
is he gonna like come back and like try and save the marriage now at this point?
I have it. Wait a minute.
It goes to the UK.
No, they wanted to follow the kids to college. They wanted like Mrs. Doubtfire to be like their college like dorm.
No.
Why?
No.
Well, that's such a bad idea. Thank God they didn't make that. That sounds like the fucking Aladdin Return of Jafar of Mrs. Doubtfire.
Apparently, according to this cancel sequel section on Wikipedia, that was one of the ideas, and they like scrapped it because they couldn't make it work. And they had another idea that they were going to move forward with the year that Robin Williams passed away, and then things fell apart when he died.
If there's a sequel, can we make it about how like Pierce Brosnan redemption story about how he comes back and actually he becomes like the dream dad without having to dress up as like another person? He wants to win the hearts over of both like the wife and also their children.
He wants to connect with these kids because like they just love their dad so much more than him, so he starts dressing up like a lady.
Guys, I want to talk. Pierce Brosnan he's like just the most pure soul. He's hot. What ladies?
Rich as hell.
What? Yeah, exactly. He's fucking loaded. Like, there's literally nothing wrong with Pierce Brosnan in this movie. Why didn't they make him like more unlikable? It kind of was appalling at one point in the movie. I was like, I hope that this doesn't work out for Robin Williams because Pierce Brosnan is just like a wholesome, good guy. Like I just wanted to work out for him.
I guess it's just weird because this movie is already such a family movie, and like in family movies, you make the villain a villain. Like you don't need to make it someone who's like actually good and like it's a complicated situation.
Yeah. Well, in some ways, like Sally Field is almost the villain. Depends on like what baggage you're bringing into the
Robin
movie.
Williams is the villain of this movie by far.
Yeah.
Sally Field is a fucking mom who has a deadbeat piece of shit husband who is psychologically terrorizing her family.
Hear me
psychologically is a child. Like could not ever grow up.
You could go into this movie thinking that Robin Williams is an epic fun dad, and she's just a drag on the fun, and like she's just trying to make everything so boring.
Well, that's like the problem with this movie is because if you're a kid, of course you feel that way. Meanwhile, like they would just be homeless without her. It's like, what the fuck do you want her to do?
Wow, you're working all the time, Mom. You're never here. What are you doing at work?
Such a career woman, so progressive.
Is Sally Fields the Peter Pan of this story?
Yeah.
Oh damn.
Yeah, she has very important papers.
They do. Yeah. Well, so later on they do a good job of evening out, and that's when we get some like decent pathos with this couple when because a lot of the dialogue between Doubtfire and Sally Field is very like, it's just Doubtfire being like, wow, your husband seems like an incredible guy, like fuck. Which that's annoying, but like there's a scene where they're sitting down together and like Sally Field is really opening up about like what went wrong to Doubtfire, and like that's like there was like some true emotion in that scene. I really liked it.
That's one of the things that I'm so happy, because I've seen this movie, like bits and pieces of it on just TV and everything on cable,
Freeform.
On Freeform, of course. But I hadn't actually like sat down and watched the whole movie in like years, probably since I was in like middle high school or so. And I couldn't really remember. I thought that they stayed divorced, but I couldn't really remember it. And I'm so happy that they don't end up back together.
Yeah,
at the end of this movie.
Button at the end.
Thank God they don't. That would have sucked. That honestly would have just like lowered the movie notch, man. It's just like, and everything all ended up working out okay.
They stay together, but he has to be Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yeah. It's like,
put
on the mask.
In bed.
Fuck you.
Put on the mask.
Yeah, and
I'll get out the jackhammer.
He has to peg. He can't use his equipment. There's one. This is really off topic. There's one ADR like voiced in joke that I'm obsessed with from this movie, because it's very clearly added in post. It's like a Robin Williams line, and it's like, why? It's such a bad fucking joke. It's when Doubtfire is first meeting the kids and they're kind of being bratty. He throws the remote into the fish tank. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
And he says, and then there's this, you can tell it's voiceover. It's like a different microphone. And it goes, the only thing you'll be watching is Deep CNN.
Oh my God. I remember that joke because I clocked that and I was like, that's
why
a bad joke.
And it's ADR.
Yeah.
It's not even like an improv. Like, why did they put that
Do
in
you
the
think
movie?
that Robin was like, guys, I'm sorry. I know that we finished filming. I came up with something.
Yeah.
I got to get this out
Deep
there.
CNN?
Deep CNN.
Are you fucking kidding?
You know, I just got that joke just now.
It's not funny.
Because
I had to pause.
when I saw the movie, I was like, all I thought it was like, oh yeah, they're just gonna do a CNN deep dive.
Yeah, well, I googled it to see if back then there was like a second CNN channel called Deep CNN, and there's
deep
not.
sea,
No,
but it's deep sea because he threw a remote into the fish tank.
They're just gonna stare at the TV and they're gonna go deep into CNN.
I paused the movie to look this up because I was like disgusted.
That was just the 90s thing. That was just people did that in the 90s.
Yeah. People in the
my
90s loved CNN. It was like the greatest thing they've ever.
Yeah, you're just like busy like watching what's happening in Iraq.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wolf Blitzer doing his thing. Was it like Larry King?
Yeah, is Wolf Blitzer? When does Wolf Blitzer join the CNN?
Probably. Yeah, I mean, it's Larry King mostly.
Yeah, not
I feel like
92. I feel like it's too early for Wolf.
AC's in there, right? A young AC. Anderson Cooper.
Probably. I was thinking more like late 90s is mostly the King.
I wanted, before we get into the categories, I wanted to ask you one more thing, Javi. So we're talking about the drama of this movie. Do you feel like that works well, like the whole divorce drama of it all? Because I feel like this movie spends a lot of time on that.
I feel like it doesn't go too deep for like a kids movie. It does hit pretty hard. I'm just like, damn.
Yeah, there's like
everything.
court scenes.
Yeah, there's like high stakes. He's like, wow, because when his kids see him peeing in that scene, like they're literally threatening to call the cops. He's like, all right, you guys keep my secret, because if mom finds out, the only way I'll see you is through plexiglass. So I'm just like, oh, okay. So this is that movie right now.
The last time you'll see me is in a fucking casket.
Deep CNN.
Investigate Deep CNN.
Damn it.
You're right though, Abby. Like there is some good emotional weight in some of the divorce stuff. That's why I brought it up like half joking of is this on the Divorced Parents Hall of Fame, because there are some like emotionally resonant moments.
And the acting's good. It's really good.
Yeah, it turns out Robin Williams and Sally Fields are two fucking good actors. Who would have thought? Like there's one scene where it's in like the third act of the movie where they're kind of talking about like, it's whenever Sally Fields shows up to the Doubtfire set. It's a scene that in a lot of movies, it's the one where she's like, I'm sorry. I didn't realize all the mistakes I've done. Please come back home. And like, we don't get that. Instead, we get a point where it's like the beginning of a fight with each other. It's the beginning of like we like are rehashing all these kind of pent up feelings and aggression that we haven't gotten out. And they're just like, all right, no, stop. We're in the past. We're done with it.
Mm-hmm.
You want to see your kids. You need to see your kids. Like, and that's a very adult thing to have in a family movie, is kind of something like that is more complex.
Yeah. I also props to the judge for at least having somewhat of a fucking head on his shoulders, unlike the social worker where he's like, hey, I
cannot allow you to ever be near your children.
Do you know what? Yes, you know what Robin says in his final monologue plea to get access to his kids? One thing that he says is, "I'm addicted to my children, sir."
Hey,
sick man.
Hey, buddy. Maybe you should have hired a lawyer. I'm sorry.
That's how you never see your kids again.
He did have a lawyer. He like turns to his lawyer and he's like, "Isn't there like a standard?"
Well, that's the first time. The second time he represents himself.
Oh,
yeah. This is why you don't represent yourself in court, guys.
I'm addicted to my children.
He was so upset he fired
cuff
us.
me up, Judge.
So like, for all like the good acting and good character moments we get, it became repetitive for me when Doubtfire is just being so like brazenly and openly like, "Oh, let's talk about your husband. Sounds like a guy. Like, I love your husband. I hate Pierce Brosnan." Like there's so much of that in this movie of him just
it's the same beat over and over.
Again. And it's I was just getting like mad at him. Like, I was just like, dude, you have to be like less thirsty for your family.
Right.
Like, you're being too obvious.
Couple other things, because before we like get to categories and everything else, one, we gotta talk about Harvey Firestein.
Yeah, he owns
that's the brother,
Uncle Frank. Yeah,
he's just like, he's a very good actor. Like he's one of the only, like, he has like 2 or 3 scenes. He feels like a real person. Like, he feels like just like a real dude in this movie.
I love how like Uncle Frank and who is it? It's Is it Aunt Jack? Is that who the other person is? I can't remember. But just like they're Robin Williams' brother and his lover, and like they just do like prosthetics and makeup and everything. Do not bat a fucking eye at the whole process of this. He says, "Make me a woman," and he says, "Thank God."
Yeah. And then his face gets run over by a truck, and he's like, "I need another one."
Yeah.
Right away, sir.
And our guy Harvey Firestein is like, "Don't worry, I knew this was going to happen. I got another one on deck for you."
Right.
Just a place of total solace for Robin Williams to just hang back, just be enabled, no criticism.
Yeah.
Says, I want to do something crazy, illegal, and morally bankrupt, and just like lie to everyone I love, and really, put myself at risk.
And
his brother was all about it.
You brought me in on this.
They do a musical number. They like sing to the camera.
God, they rock.
That was so
it's
good.
really fun and cute. I love that.
Well, because they need to figure out like who this character is gonna be. They don't get to Doubtfire immediately. They go. Yeah. You get to see a little bit of the process of like, all right, who exactly like are you going to embody to like actually sell this?
Yeah.
And they land on someone that looks exactly like Robin Williams, just as an old lady.
They had their little Spider-Man learning his superpowers little origin.
Which was very funny because when he called Sally Field, he had the voice down.
Okay, but when I wanted to talk about this, it's like, you've been with this man for 14 years. They say 14 years of marriage. Like, is that how absent you are in this marriage, Sally?
There's no way that comes out of like whole cloth. That he's definitely done that voice around her before.
He's done every voice. It's more of
he does voices.
It's a testament to how darn talented he is in this world,
Yeah, but also if you're married to a man for 14 years, it don't matter how many voices he's trying on you. Like, his voice. Come on, Sally.
She's like very stupid. Which is crazy because of how successful she is in this movie.
I would say the prosthetics are pretty good. I could maybe forgive that, but the voice is just, you can tell.
The prosthetics are very good. Like, I wouldn't be like, oh, that's Robin Williams necessarily.
So this movie won best makeup at the Oscars. It won an Oscar.
That makes sense because it's kind of like about makeup
Yeah.
in a way that a lot of movies aren't. Like,
well, I think the reason why it won the Oscar is because of the speed of how he's applying this makeup and the climactic dinner scene at the end.
Yeah.
Like, what do you
fast
think,
forward
Javi?
scene? They oh man, that whole scene. I remember I wasn't excited about that scene because the first time I rewatched it, I was like, I don't know about this scene. I've basically seen this in like 100 other things. The double date.
Yeah. Oh, I have 2 days at the same time.
Yeah, the old High School Musical.
It is zillennial canon.
Yeah.
That love concept.
But watching it this time, like I just like let all the chaos run, and it's pretty good. Like it's a really good scene.
It is.
Like,
I think one thing that I think elevates it that I didn't remember is that he's fucking loaded. He's drunk as shit.
yeah,
Like,
same.
he gets
Same.
trashed really early on, and that's why he's fucking up so hard. It makes it make sense.
That's
He's
something.
not fucking up that hard.
Oh,
I mean,
he
I-
literally
well,
he
he
hears
can't do much
Pierce
worse.
Pierce Brosnan says, "I'm allergic to pepper." He's like, I should kill this guy in front of my wife and kids.
yeah,
I should
but
totally kill
he
this
is
guy now.
flawlessly applying this makeup every like 10 minutes.
Yeah, he has this
Except
total
he-
bad bitch moment. He like is putting on lipstick and like sees the kitchen. He's like, "Oh, hey, let's talk
pepper.
about some pepper." Yeah, he
But
just
so
like clasps it and does a little cackle. Like, I love it.
But let's think
In the
through this
kitchen.
though, because it's unlike some other movies where it's like they do like 10 transformations of bouncing back and forth. I think he does. It's twice, right? It's only 2 times.
Yeah.
And on the third time, he fucks up and goes to the wrong place with the wrong makeup.
Okay.
So the first time he does it,
felt
he's
more
sober.
than that.
The second time, it's like whenever you do like 3 shots and you can like still like have function for like 3 minutes until you're just blitzed. It all hits you at one
Yeah.
time.
And that's also why he like so brazenly gives Brosnan the Heimlich. Like he's giving he's like tackling him, like he's
Right.
killing him.
Pierce Brosnan swallowed a whole shrimp
Mhm.
without even thinking about chewing.
Because there was pepper.
I
He's
look.
so fucking white that he can't eat pepper.
I'm saying, yeah. Which, dear God, like, I'd fucking kill myself if I was allergic to pepper. First of all, I would if I just couldn't like enjoy flavor on
Yeah.
anything. Kill me now.
British people don't have pepper.
They actually don't have flavor on any of their
Yeah.
foods. Like,
Instead of pepper, they use
it's-
like beans.
it's like whenever you like are reading a recipe from like Bon Appetit, it's like it's like pinch of salt, pinch of pepper. It's like this is a giant casserole. Fuck off if you're buying a pinch of seasoning in here.
Don't
Um,
push.
Also, Pierce Brosnan, my guy, you were allergic to pepper. How do you not take like one look at your plate and just see like, hey, there's like red flakes all over this thing.
Does
red
he
crystals.
say allergy?
everywhere.
I didn't.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's
he says I'm
allergy?
allergic to pepper.
Okay, I thought he said
Yeah.
like he just like has like a tummy issue.
I don't like pepper.
pepper gives me gas.
Spicy bad. Please no. It's crazy for my young brain because I did know him as Bond first, and then seeing him depicted as a villain here was like a total like mind reversal for me. But I was kind of there. I was kind of upset because I was like, I kind of want to see him do more Bond heroic stuff.
Yeah.
But watching it now, it's just like, wow, that guy was James Bond. That it actually did this. Like the time's all messed up because they did that first, but still.
Right.
But you see this and you're like, man, can this guy do like no wrong?
He looks like a Bond.
Yeah.
Like you know.
Well, is he shirtless in that pool scene?
Oh yeah.
of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You see,
Big
he's
time.
got a great V.
And,
of
yeah, and
hair
then
in
little
there.
Matilda's
Yeah.
like, your belly looks different than daddy's.
Yeah, that's a weird scene where fucking Doubtfire is just like chucking fruit at my guy's head.
Yeah, she gets kind of lit again.
Well,
She's
that's
like, lit
when
up
you
the
were
pool.
saying that you were
What's it-
getting sick of it because
She-
it's like
she-
we don't need that.
Yeah, because
She get-
Daniel's
also-
a fucking alcoholic. He's a
also-
piece of shit. He shouldn't be near his kids.
Also, Robin Williams, like in costume, gets really horny for a chick that walks up to the beach bar and is like, "It's on me." She's like, "Ew."
Dude, he's so why is he so unlikable? Like this guy sucks.
I thought
He's
that was like
literally
one of
on
the
a-
funniest.
He's trying to get back together with his wife and kids, and he just can't stop being horny at like a pool for like 1 minute.
Let your wife fuck Pierce Brosnan.
See, and that's in another movie. Pierce Brosnan, whenever he goes up and talks with the other guy, everything, he's just like, yeah, but I'm using her for her money and I'm gonna take all this thing. And then this, he's just like, no, I really love the little kids. Like this girl is like special. I have a connection with her. Well, it's like, oh, what a sweet guy.
Do they end up together? They don't show it, but like it just, I guess it leaves the door open, but like it feels like
what do we think?
It feels like Brosnan's got to get out at that point.
Think,
like he's like, okay, this is, you guys have
whenever I see that
situation here.
Yeah, when I
don't want to go to court.
That crazy ex-husband energy snooping around, I'm out.
It is actually, I think one of my favorite moment in the movie is like after the big set piece at the restaurant when him and Robin Williams just kind of like shake hands. It's like, all right, well, peace, bro.
I mean, if I were Pierce Brosnan and I saw this old woman just being a weirdo, I'd be like,
yeah, being
there's
like,
something
hey,
here.
Nice like bracelet you got your lady there. You gonna trying to get some pussy?
Yeah.
I think watching this movie now, like over time, I spent like a huge gap before I'd seen it, like my initial time and this time. So I was like thinking about it in hindsight, you see like the titles either on social media saying how it's super creepy, like the messed up truth about Mrs. Doubtfire. So I was just looking for the little sleazy bits.
Twisted.
Yeah. And how the director actually said there could be a rated R version, but I think that's just from all the improv that Robin Williams is doing. And
I saw something that said that there are like 3 different versions of the movie because of Robin just popping off, which makes sense.
Both times he drinks, he just like super sleazy and like he does this cackle. He does it like when he's drinking at the dinner with his new prospective boss, which, by the way, what a caricature of just old businessman.
Oh my God.
Dude,
just literally no food, just drinking.
Dude, my guy, Robert Prosky, this guy's just, he also like sees the most insane shit in the world and is like, I'm so lit off of like 4 double scotches in the last 30 minutes that like, dude, Mrs. Doubtfire, you're hired. This shit rocks.
Robin Williams is like, oh no, I was making out with a server back there. He's like, yo, does she have like a friend? Are we gonna like score some coke and like fuck or
Eskimo brothers?
I was kind of concerned for a second. I was like, oh my God, is this movie gonna go fully off the rails right now? What's happening?
He's on Lewds.
Yeah, that was a great guy.
It also it's a beautiful little, it plays into the plot very smartly how, Mrs. Doubtfire gets the show, and that is how the family reconnects with him because they see the show and they're like, oh, he loves us, he's a good guy. His entire premise of his pitch to this man was supposed to be like updating this children's programming to be like fresh and like cool for kids, and the idea behind doing that is starring a really old lady.
Yeah, this guy was like trying to like fuck around with like dinosaur action figures. He's like, man, these kids are going to be watching Jurassic Park.
Yeah, they should.
I gotta relate to them.
We gotta have like an old lady and like one puppet.
Yeah, giving like impassioned speeches about divorce.
Kids will love that so much.
I think like really maybe he did have a better idea, but just was trapped into doing Mrs. Doubtfire.
No, exactly. He totally was. He had to be, because otherwise, like, it'd be crazy if he brought all that makeup there and then he was just sort of like, well, that was just one idea. Yeah, like we can do whatever.
I have more.
Well, yeah, I'd like to believe that like Mrs. Doubtfire got her 1 episode and then they canceled the show.
It is, yeah. Well, it's popping for weeks, and because then when Sally Field finally shows up, like they're like, cut, perfect, and then the exec walks up, he's like, we're leading the ratings in all of fucking America. Like,
no, they've been on for what, like 2.5 weeks, and they're like, we want to be syndicated in every major city.
They're canceling Power Rangers.
That's the sequel. Mrs. Doubtfire is like a national sensation.
She just becomes Mr. Rogers.
And it's kind of like a LaQuisha type deal.
Yeah,
where like he has to like live as.
Why did you remind me? I had eliminated
the cinematic film
because there are a lot of similarities between Mrs. Doubtfire and LaQuisha. That's why.
Is that a cross-dressing movie?
It is a like verbally cross-dressing movie.
Oh, because it's over an auditory medium.
It's like via like radio.
It's about a podcast.
Big recommend. Don't watch that movie.
No, Javi, do not watch LaQuisha, please, dear God.
Got it.
Do you want to explain what LaQuisha is?
I didn't even watch it. Point? and I am already triggered.
It's this guy who's like, he's like a Neil Breen, like Tommy Wiseau. He self-funds all his movies and stars and directs. And he made a movie where he plays like a radio host who's like, man, I can't get a solid job nowadays. It's all these people of color that get them, and women. So then he poses as a woman of color and like gets a sensational radio show.
It's the most like
trash.
It's literally the worst idea that you've ever heard in your life that actually is a real movie.
My God, I have to see this now.
And then one thing that made me think about it a little bit in this, because in that movie there are like a series of Black characters whose entire role is just to be like, this is okay.
Yeah,
it's all right that you're doing this.
No.
It kind of reminded me of like Harvey Firestein in this movie, being like, you know what? This is all good.
Yeah. Bring in.
Yeah, I have a boyfriend, which means you're allowed to do this.
Yeah.
I wanted to bring up
that's a very early 90s things where it's like gay, trans, what's the difference? Like that's such like a 90s, an early 90s thing, because people just don't understand anything that's not cisgender.
His
like
fucking I cannot get his son out of my head being like, call the cops. She's peeing standing up. Jesus, call the fucking police.
Kill this kid.
Get the SWAT team.
That was a really tough moment. I almost like paused the movie and had to like take a lap for a second, because the speed at which this boy is like, we need to incarcerate Mrs. Doubtfire.
And then I wrote down the line after that. Once they know it's him, and he goes, he's like, Chris, it's me. And he's like, it's okay. I just don't want to hug you or anything. Not just yet.
You can tell he's like never gonna forgive him. Like he's upset about that. He's like,
he shouldn't ever forgive him, but not for that reason.
Yeah, no, reasons.
Right.
Maybe do a sit Pete next time. Ain't nobody hurt from a sit Pete.
Lock the door.
No, lock the door. Here's the thing. Like, I feel like a sit Pete is just more comfortable based on the outfit that he's in. Like, you're having to hike up a lot of shit to like pee standing up with everything. Like, just sit down.
I mean, he probably has a little zipper on the skirt.
Did they really zipper? Like thought through like that much? They're like trying to make it that ergodynamic for.
I mean, otherwise he'd be doing the sit pee. Like, how could you not have a little?
He's tucking, and he's got like a little tank attached to his ass to make it big and buxom.
All right, let's get to the categories.
Yep.
Cool.
Good time.
The first category is best Robinism. Javi, what is the best Robinism in this movie? So basically, the one moment that Robin Williams has that is the most Robin moment. In your opinion.
So I'm going to go with my gut on this one, because after like a decade of not seeing this movie, like when I think about it, one of the few scenes is him freaking out in the kitchen and like his like makeup breasts, the prosthetic breasts catch on fire. Yes. He's like, I'm a woman for one day and I got hot flashes. Like, I'm just like, literally, it speaks so much to the time, like the sense of humor, but also like, of course, like a Robin Williams classic.
That's such a good pick.
That's a great pick.
Thank you.
You guys got one? Should I give mine?
What's yours?
I think mine is the button at the end of that I Do Voices scene when
he does a hot dog.
Yeah. So
that's my favorite.
I do a great impression of a hot dog.
She's like, oh yeah, let me call like the president of 21st Century Fox. Like,
that killed
what
me.
job does he think he's gonna get?
I think
so good.
I think I laughed harder than that than anything else in the movie. I think the only other thing that like really killed me is when he's telling the story about Winston. And he's like, the drink killed him. He got hit by a Guinness truck.
Yeah, that's a great joke.
That is a genuinely amazing joke.
It's like right out of Monty Python or something.
Yeah.
I just felt it. It's so good. But it's a credit all to Robin Williams. Can't take it all from Monty Python. But also, right before the hot dog, he says Figaro. And I just have to mention that he's singing in Italian at the beginning of this movie. In front
That's
of
how the movie starts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
again, he's doing an incredible voice acting job.
Yeah.
And then he's like,
So
"God,
iconic.
smoking a cig. I gotta go."
Yeah, that is like a borderline nominee right there. When he's just like simultaneously flipping back and forth between the voices is
Yeah, it's multiple characters.
So,
in that
so
movie.
good. I'd put it towards the entire voices scene is just like incredible. It's so good. Dude,
I do voices.
Yeah, he does everything from Sean Connery to Groucho Marx to Humphrey Bogart to "Don't make me smack your sweetheart, I'll do it."
Nice. That's pretty good. He does a little. That's Sean Connery.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Just making sure.
Reagan, Nancy and I are still looking for the other half of my head.
Edgy. At the time, edgy.
Yeah.
My only complaint with that is that like that's so early in the movie that like there's nothing. Well, I don't want to say nothing, but there's practically nothing in the rest of the movie that matches that energy of that scene. It's like it's almost like let's get all the Robin stuff out of the way first and then clear the paint for Mrs. Doubtfire.
That's the thing, is it's sort of structured like Face Off, where like he's being a different character for like the back 2/3 of it. So he can't be that fully himself.
Unless but when he is himself, he has to do like divorce drama. He can't be zany.
I'm addicted to my children, sir.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say,
And also Quaaludes, but that's besides the point.
If my dad had said that, I would be so scared.
Your parents legitimately say, "So I'm addicted to you."
Oh,
son, I'm fucking addicted to you, man.
Call the cops.
That I am calling the cops for.
This is the I don't know. It's really, I feel like it's road at this point. It's been done, like saying how fucked up this movie is, but it's more fucked up than I even thought after like having read the internet takes. It really is. The trajectory of what he's doing here. The next step of this guy is killing his whole family. This is a guy who would lose custody and then he would murder them all.
Yeah, it tries to end in a place where it's like, they like agreed to let their dad stick around. There's no way that custody agreement works out. There's literally zero way that works out well for everybody, because he learned how to fucking make spaghetti. So now all of a sudden he's a good dad. He can cook now because he learned how to fucking boil pasta.
He used the fine china.
But I mean, like you said, that's why it is really good that they don't end the movie together like that. It leaves us a little grounded.
Yeah, it's like we're gonna let him see his kids so that he doesn't commit a crime.
That's another thing that really bugged me, is when he's giving that a very like emotional and well acted monologue to Sally Field when she's like on set with him and they're arguing. He's vilifying her for like taking away the kids. He shouldn't be allowed to see his kids. No one who's ever done anything like this has been allowed to see their kids ever again. Like he
gets Saturdays. He should be happy with Saturdays.
Yeah, and he's just like the social worker. When I hug my kids, they wonder why. It's like, yeah, when you dressed up like an old lady for like months and months and like tricked your whole family, they probably wonder why you did that.
He got typecasted as an actor, because even the judge is like, I hear you, but I know you're just a terrific actor, so you're not.
Yeah. That's a great. No, good job by that judge.
Yeah, but you were simply cinema's Robin Williams.
All right. What's any other Robinism? No. What's the best moment in the whole movie? Javi, do you have like, it doesn't have to be a Robin moment. What is just like the best moment in the whole movie?
The whole movie. Well, I think the first one I think of is actually one of the scenes that Drew mentioned earlier. I hope I'm not stealing it from you because I feel bad. Is the one where
steal away.
Okay, great, because it's a great scene when Sally Field is talking to Robin and she like dishes, like she's actually opens up to him.
Yeah,
but she finally gives a reason for the divorce other than like, I'm sick of this. Like that's the most relatable she is in the movie, and I feel like that on its own just does so much for the movie as a whole. Because before then it's like, oh, she's the bad guy.
Yeah, and also you only up to that point you only see like a cartoon version of why she would want a divorce. Like it's such, you see a visualization of the most insane relationship ever, when really it's something in between that where it's like,
it's just like, oh, you don't ever want to be serious.
Yeah,
like,
he's not serious. Like he never had a fucking job, and I work too hard, and maybe I'm too serious. Like I kind of agree. Like that moment really, like I wrote it down because I was like, this is like more realness than I thought we would get in the whole movie.
Because I heard a complaint that Sally Field just or at least some people say that she's so much of a bad guy, and I get it, especially like you were saying as a kid, like, oh yeah, like she's the reason the bad things are happening. But yeah, that scene really opens it up in a great way, and I like Sally Fields. I like seeing her do her thing.
You gotta get Sally Field if you're gonna devote so much time to scenes like that where you're just getting into the nitty gritty of this divorce.
I love Sally Field.
God, it is almost like too bad that Sally Field doesn't have more to do in this movie, because Sally Field's just the fucking best, man.
Yeah.
She's so good.
That's true.
She's so goddamn good.
It reminds me of when she got cast as Aunt May in the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies.
Oh,
it's like that is a perfect Aunt May, and it's just like you didn't do as much as you could have.
Yeah, there's a lot
that's for groceries.
movies.
I'll give a wild card pick, or like a couple of moments for my favorites, because I absolutely fucking love how immediately horny her and Pierce Brosnan are for each other.
Yeah.
It's not
First,
like he's
like trying to show her.
She has a bunch of like milk on her lip, and he's like, and then and she's just like, pillows, and he's
pillows, drapes, and he's just like,
he's sitting there like,
how have you been?
I want to get to know you.
So what is their job?
They do pillows.
Their job is pillows.
Well, drapes too. They also
Tables.
they do mention drapes. They mention
nice
tables.
tables, blinds.
Tables.
No,
It's
but what is her
corporate interior
job?
design.
Yeah, she literally. It's like. It is like what in the 90s, that's what you would write a successful woman to do.
Yeah,
Either
it's
they
like
work
so,
in a
like, kinda
magazine.
sexist.
They work in a magazine, or they're just like a really high paid version of like a housewife.
Yeah.
that was like a really progressive move back then. What's really progressive is Pierce Brosnan being like very metro in this movie. You know, he takes great care of himself. He's super prim and proper, and he's like in this field. He's like, yeah, no, that's a great rug.
Mm-hmm. He wants to bang like.
And he's so in on Sally Field.
He is so fucking horny. Also, it's kind of implied that like she dumped his ass.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, Pierce?
Yeah, like they had been together, and she's like, he says like early on, he's like, you know, I don't like hold anything against like what.
Oh, you're talking about in the originally. Yeah, I think I took it as like they dated in college or something.
Yeah,
like that,
and like she dumped him.
It's what it's because like there's a point where she says something like, I'm sorry after everything, and he's like, oh, after everything. Well, you know, we could put that behind us. So I do wish we had a little more backstory from them, because if we're lacking anything, it's little of them.
Sally Field has to be like just delivering the goods.
Yeah.
Pierce Brosnan is like strung out over her.
Well, they have that. She has that chat with Doubtfire about like when is it like a good time to put out, and Doubtfire is like never.
Celibacy.
Yeah.
The rest of your life.
Not ever put it out.
That's
and Sally Field's like, I need to.
Yeah.
Like, I need to get it.
And he's like, well, then you can embrace hell, you whore.
May
can fucking burn.
Have mercy on your soul.
There are so many moments where it's like Mrs. Doubtfire, like if that was my nanny, I'd be like, wow, she's a huge bitch. She's being really mean to me like a lot of the time.
Like, wow, she really needs to get laid.
That's another like a deleted scene is Sally Fields trying to hook up Mrs. Doubtfire with the bus driver.
No way.
That's a missing scene that we need to add to this movie.
Or trying to hook him up with Robin Williams. Like, oh well, if you sound like you really love my ex-husband, so you should,
dear.
That's it, Robin Williams.
He has to do the voices of them fucking in the other room.
I have a nominee. It's less of a scene. It's less of a moment, more of an entire scene. We talked about it's just a restaurant.
Yeah, that's what I put.
It's a perfectly executed family scene, like kids movie scene. Like that is just it's so well done.
It's so cringe.
It's overdone in like kids movies in general, but this is just like the ideal version of it. It's him showing up at the wrong table with the wrong thing on. Like that is a quintessential moment of like, yes, this moment has to happen in a scene like this, and it's executed really well. Like he doesn't know that he fucked up at first. He's talking in normal Robin Williams voice, but dressed up like the woman.
And the guy, our guy, what is this actor's name? He's so good in this movie. The boss. His reaction is just like, did I have too much to drink right now?
Yeah, he's like,
am
am I like shit-faced right now? The scotch. He does like a look at the drink that he's drinking thing. Like,
that, yeah, I think if we're picking like moment of the movie and we're allowed to pick this entire scene, like that's it. Because just the entire like back and forth of him just like drastically shifting his entire appearance over and over in such a short amount of time, that's amazing. That's the Oscar right there. Like that's why this movie won, is because of the speed of this man just like going in and out of drag. It's incredible, and it serves the plot and the story and the characters and the stakes, and it's just like they got it, they nailed it. And I'm sure you can pick little moments in there, but I think as a whole, like that's everything the movie's building up to. And yeah, it's great.
Actually, it was really good. As a climax, like so much of it happens, and you get to see I love seeing him in a chaotic situation, but he's like super spread thin. But after a certain point, he feels like he owns the restaurant, like i.e. him going in the kitchen, like he's like, oh, I've got this down.
Yeah, they don't question.
Like,
yeah, he gets lit up like really fast because he's chugging the wine, and then he goes immediately over to the other guy who's like, oh, I got us like quadruple scotches.
Okay, so this is a new category. I guess it's not new at this point, but it's what would you do, fellas?
What you doing,
fellas? WID.
Ooh. So Javi, we got to pick a character in this movie that you feel like you could pinpoint yourself trying to figure out what would you do.
It's guys,
just I got it. You are the son and you see your nanny peeing standing up.
I would say more so Sally Field.
Oh, if I'm Sally Fields, I'm fucking Pierce Brosnan immediately. Like we're not leaving that office.
Yeah, I'm smashing.
I guess the son,
I'm smashing Pierce Brosnan.
The son is good, but I mean, this kid is like.
I'm not being the kid.
Okay, no. What if you're Pierce Brosnan? What if you're Pierce Brosnan?
Yeah. Okay, that's good. I like this.
It's Sally Field is the one that got away. You're like obsessed with her, and now like you spent your whole life getting sexier and sexier and like more successful.
You're literally James.
And you
Bond.
finally get what you've always wanted, and then like everything that could be bad is bad about her situation. Like, do you stick around with this shit going on?
I think as soon as I see Doubtfire, I start to like.
Doubtfire is being so mean to you.
Yeah.
Every time you see Mrs. Doubtfire.
I start to like weigh my options a little bit.
Well, he doesn't even like, he never says anything to Sally Fields like, yo, why is your nanny like such a bitch to me? Like, why? I didn't do anything. Like, just you're being a good guy.
What do you think, Javi? Is Brosnan the most like, audience surrogate for this category?
He's not.
It's like, because from when he comes into the movie, he's already like a powerhouse. He's like rich, influential. He's like turning a super expensive house into a B&B. And he like doesn't even have to woo Sally Fields. He walks in the room and she's his, So there is that. But at the same time,
whenever I walk in a room.
Yeah, he just has so much flex because he really, out of anybody, he has like the most options. He's just there to ride.
That's true. We really,
he could bail.
In that way, we can absolutely not relate.
Yeah, we can't be Pierce. Pierce Brosnan is not the audience surrogate because no one else looks like young.
It's a kid's movie. Like the audience surrogate is the kids.
Okay, so what would you do if you're dressed up as an old Scottish woman then? What?
If I'm Mrs. Doubtfire, I'm reevaluating my life choices, like what brought me to this point.
If I can't hold a job and my wife wants a divorce and I'm like losing custody of my kids, I'm going to Ace Hardware and I'm buying a rope and I'm hanging myself. No movie.
You do your chores and you have a regular ass birthday party, and then you
clean up after yourself.
If I'm in that situation, I'm surprising my son. I'm gonna break the rules, and I'm actually gonna pick up my son like some pizza on the way home.
He also literally could have just like post-divorce. He could have just had the job, cleaned his fucking house, and like ended up with like 3 days a week. Yeah. Or ended up with like the a few hours a day or whatever. Yeah, because that's what he fucking ends up with at the end of the movie.
He could have just
he made it so hard on himself.
He literally never needed to do any of the Doubtfire stuff, and he ends up in the same spot that he would. Except it took him longer to see his kids. for a consistent amount of time.
He does voices though.
He does get to do voices.
That's
Why?
true.
So, okay, if a social worker is coming to my house, I'm not just leaving my house looking like a fucking unsustainable pigsty. Like,
It looks like
priority
shit.
number one is like, hey, maybe I should like clean up these fucking boxes.
Well, that's why
it's the bare minimum.
he's never
Chinese
cleaned
food.
before. Sally Field literally gets home from working 12 hours and fucking cleans because he's a
What a nightmare.
deadbeat piece of shit.
This guy sucks, dude. He is the villain.
Yeah, honestly, the opening party, I was like, oh, geez. I thought that was cool.
It is kind of a
when you're a kid,
miracle.
like Jump Around is playing, he's like on the
Yeah.
table with his son. Like you're like, damn,
I think
I wish my dad was like that.
that is like the biggest credit that we can possibly give to Robin Williams is that in any other movie, this person's just a villain. Like you just fucking hate this guy. He sucks. He's a bad human being. He's a bad dad.
I wish my
Where
dad
it's
was
like,
addicted to me.
Oh, dude, I love when Robin Williams, he does silly voice and cross dresses.
Yeah, now there's poo-poo all over the carpet because he hired a whole ass farm.
Begonias. Think about the begonias. All right, what's next?
Is this good Robin or bad Robin?
This is great, Robin.
Yeah.
No one
good
else
Robin.
could do this.
Exactly.
He also they give him a lot of room to improvise and do his do all his little voices. His character is a guy who does voices for a living.
Yeah.
Like
He is. I mean, at that point in the movie, you're just watching Robin Williams. Like he's
Yeah.
not even.
so it's lovely.
Yeah.
It's great,
He
Robin.
created he didn't, well, he collaboratively worked on the character of Mrs. Doubtfire with the directors too. So I think at this
Exactly.
point in his career, like he just gets a lot more leeway.
Yeah.
So he
Well,
puts a lot more of just him.
Yeah. He's
into
a producer.
Starting to get
on
some
this
creative
movie.
sway.
Yeah, because they didn't write this. This wasn't the Warren Beatty script.
Right.
Yeah, no, originally there's like a lot of like notes and stuff and like IMDb trivia that originally this was going to be a darker story. Like it was going to be more
Yeah, it
of
has
a
to
story
be.
about like the trials and tribulations
Yeah.
of divorce.
Of an
And,
insane
like
man.
I think that originally it was actually supposed to be more from the kid's point of view.
Right.
About like
She's
what
a
if like
tyrant?
yeah, and like your kids like you're seeing your dad like slowly lose his mind and having to dress up like a woman to spend time with you. Like there's
Whoa.
definitely a darker twist to take at this story.
How many Robins out of 10?
How Robin does he get in this? He gets really up there. Aladdin sets the bar so high for how intense he gets. So I almost want to say 9, but like, his face is this movie. Like he is this movie
Right.
in a way that it's
Yeah, I think it has to be 9 just because of what we were saying earlier about how like this just doesn't work with anybody else, especially watching it like 20 something years later. Yeah, over 20 years. What,
Yeah,
20
30 years.
Yeah, 30. Shit.
30
Yeah,
next
it'll
year.
be 30 next year.
it's
exactly.
just it's crazy to like. It would be hard to explain to like a young person like this like impish man. What he had so much clout for kids that like we watched this and we were like hell fucking yeah.
This hairy man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This monkey of a guy.
This is actually the only movie he produced. I'm looking at his producer.
Ever?
Well, the only other production credits he has are one of his comedy specials from 1986, and then after this, a movie called Jacob the Liar.
Oof. This is the only.
Wow,
that's really surprising.
That is well. I mean, I guess it's more of like a 21st century thing for major actors. Like Leo is the producer of every movie that he's in. Like that is more of a newer thing to happen. But even so, at least there's 90s like Sean Connery's producer of the movies that he's in. Like there's it's starting to get a little bit more noble.
He directed his that same 86 comedy special.
So yeah, there's
comic relief.
Props to him for not trying to outkick his own coverage, because like there's a world where he's like, oh cool, like I'm this loved, I'm going to be Woody Allen now. Like I'm just gonna like make all my own shit. Yeah. It's gonna suck.
Okay.
I think I want to do it here, guys. I think I want to give it a 10 Robins. I haven't been on the spree, but I mean, if I think about Robin or if I think about Doubtfire, I'm there.
They're synonymous.
It is. It's all Robin. So that's a fair.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, like we said, it literally couldn't be anybody else. I mean, we'll get, this is the next category, but recaging couch. So first of all, where is Nicolas Cage in this movie?
I think, and I don't want to take this guy out, But what if Nick Cage is Harvey Firestein's character? What if he's Uncle
no.
Frank? Can we put Nick Cage as Uncle Frank?
We're not doing Erasure. This movie's already problematic.
I'm just saying, where else is Nick Cage going?
He's the boyfriend. He's
The
Harvey's
token gay in
boyfriend.
a drag movie. I don't think you can do it.
Oh my god! Actually, no. Yes, I would love to have him and Harvey Firestein together.
Well, the boyfriend, so that actor is named Scott Capurro, and he is I guess from Broadway-ish. He only has one other film role. Like he has a couple TV appearances and a bunch of stage appearances. But other than Mrs. Doubtfire, he has one other film role. Can anybody guess?
I just pulled it up. It's a voice acting role.
Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. He plays Bede Anude. Anudu.
Okay.
That's not a real person.
You don't know Bede Anudu?
Oh yeah, actually, I think I have my Black Series Bede Anudu action
That's
figures.
what I thought.
Right next to my Constable Zuvio.
Yeah. He's gonna pop up in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series.
I fucking
nice.
We're gonna
can't
clap.
Fucking, I'm gonna kill myself. What could Cage be?
The answer
Could Cage be the Robert Prosky character?
No.
The problem is that he's too young
Look,
at that
you
time.
need to close your eyes and think into your heart.
And then he's Pierce Brosnan.
He's Pierce Brosnan.
He shows up. He's just a perfect hunk of a man.
I lost my hand. I lost my bride.
I'm allergic.
him choking in that scene would be
You're hurting me, Mrs. Doubtfire. I'm from England originally.
I think that this movie transcends to another plane if he takes over that role. Let's do it. And then let's also cast Nick Cage as James Bond as well.
Oh yeah.
Let's just have him take over.
I was thinking Nick Cage would be the youngest daughter, Matilda.
What if he mocapped as a small girl?
Yeah.
No.
Okay,
just like crawling around.
That's
So
too good.
Just Nick Cage's face on like a small child.
Hunter, do you have anyone who could remotely do this role?
I think I have a solid one. It's time appropriate. 1993, Steve Martin.
Oh, that's not
Ooh,
bad.
okay.
He's a little older than Robin.
He's a family comedy guy.
I think that he actually could ride the line without drastically overhauling the tone of this story. Because I think that, he can do the physical comedy bits. He can do the voices. But also he's got some dramatic chops. Like he can carry some of the emotional weight that comes with trying to tell a little bit of a drama divorce story.
What about Bill Murray? You feeling Bill Murray?
No, because this movie has too much of a soul.
Yeah, it's too. Yeah, Bill Murray's just there's a little bit of cynicism.
There would be too many moments of like, can you fucking believe I'm doing this shit, man?
Some more winking to the camera.
I feel like he's too cool under pressure to be as like chaotically spread thin as Mrs. Doubtfire is. Yeah. He's like, yeah, I'm a great chef.
He would definitely pee sitting down and never get caught to begin with.
Okay, here's the galaxy brain pick. Okay, because this is just like you're talking about like people being fooled by a man dressing up as an old woman. Okay. So if you want to lean so hard in that direction,
Owen Wilson and Marry Me. Because
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Okay.
Oh,
like who? Like you're living in a reality in this movie that people are actually going to fall for this shit. Let's go all the way in that direction and put a movie together where it's just like,
oh man,
just go full on crazy land. That these people are like falling for this shit.
The Rock.
What about Marlon Wayans?
Dwayne Johnson.
Oh, white chicks.
Yeah, can we bring white chicks into this?
Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy's
Norbit. Yo,
no, I never like to admit something like this, but Hunter, you did get it right.
I know Steve Martin is the one. I was proud of myself there. You said John Candy, didn't you?
Yeah.
John Candy's that's not a bad one. I don't know. Is John Candy like what kind of dramatic chops did he have?
He's really good at the end of like Planes and Trains and Automobiles. Like,
Yeah, you're all right. Yeah, this is a little bit of that. I think that it's a little bit too silly with John Candy.
Sandler.
Well, I mean, we have to put him back in time because
he's done Jack and Jill. That's like the most convincing portrait of a woman I've ever seen.
That's
true.
Absolutely convincing.
That's true.
What do you think, Javi? Do you have any
I like the idea of Adam Sandler shouting as Mrs. Doubtfire. I think that's hilarious. I would definitely watch that. As for like perfect recast, I just saw Naked Gun, so the only other actor I'm thinking of is like Leslie Nielsen, but that's probably wouldn't fall over very well. But I think Harvey Fierstein actually would probably pull this off. I mean, it's probably too on the nose because I know he has a lot of experience in drag as it is and being hilarious. And he's already in the movie, but still.
Well, that's the thing is like, I feel like you could pull somebody that would kind of, you need that star power, which is like a big asterisk on the movies. Like you could put someone in here that like has the same level of chops as Robin, but they just don't have the audience draw. It's not going to make $400 million fucking dollars.
Right. Mid 2000s.
You're not going to beat Jurassic Park without.
Mid 2000s Jack Black.
Oh man, I changed my answer. I'm changing my answer,
dude. Okay,
right. That would be fun.
Right before you guys came over, I had the TV on and Gulliver's Travels was on.
Yo. Dude, I walked out of that movie in a theater and like
talk about him. Like, Drew, don't you want to do like a episode of this podcast that's like on movies that don't exist?
That maybe it 100% does not exist.
What is the name of your Letterboxd list?
I'm going to listen, watch this space, folks. But yeah, me and Colin want to do a podcast called Zero Discourse.
Okay, that's what it is. So Gulliver's Travels,
that's a great
starring
one.
Jack Black.
Movies that like, it's not even that they're so bad that they're talked about how bad they are. It's just like they
came out. They were like, Gulliver's Travel like was heavily advertised. Like, dude, I remember seeing like a lot of TV bits of Jack Black like laying down, and having like the little people crawling him and being like,
and nobody saw it.
Of me. And then just like, it just disappeared.
Did you know Jason Segel is in that movie?
Yo,
Emily Blunt is in that movie. I was watching. I was like, what the fuck is going on?
James Corden.
Yeah, Corden.
No way.
Pre Late Late Show.
Yeah, I feel like Black could do it. Like Black could give that energy. To
also,
this movie
someone who is obsessed with transformation and like doing characters like this is someone else who I think in the 90s could have done it. Is Mike Myers. Back then he was untouchable in a way that he
fat
isn't
bastard.
Now. He wasn't. Yeah. He was also just like so beloved when like I've never seen him as like a soulful actor, but like people saw him in that way.
Can we get Fat Bastard and Mrs. Doubtfire to like hook up?
Yeah.
Can that be like a sick, twisted, like romantic comedy?
Oh,
can we make that happen?
Come babysit my kids.
You remind me of Winston.
Can we get Mrs. Doubtfire and Shrek to copulate?
Yeah.
Anyone? Like anyone want to do that right now?
Yeah, I'm working on drawing that up.
No, I want to hear you doing that.
Oh.
Now do Shrek.
You really
somebody.
The swamp is for everybody, you buffoon.
By the way, Ernie, I wasn't joking earlier off. I hope you're blurring my feet throughout this episode.
Yeah, I was.
There was a good moment where I like had my foot right here, and then I looked at the camera and I was like, "Oh God." Yeah, that's it. That's
where I'll put Javi's face. It'll just
on your foot,
covering the middle of the frame.
It'll be moving around the whole time.
It'll just be. I'll track it to your foot.
Yeah.
So it'll just be like sitting right here.
When I put my feet down, it's just like not there.
It just becomes a disembodied voice, just like that. We just like hear like looking around.
Okay. Any other final thoughts on Mrs. Doubtfire?
I love this movie. And I didn't know that I was going to. It's good Robin. I'm glad it's not Tim Allen. That's my final thought.
Or Warren Beatty.
Or Warren Beatty.
Warren Beatty. What in the fuck is that movie?
That's got to be the dark dramatic take on this story. Is if
Warren Beatty always wanted to do weird shit.
Yeah, it's just
he did Dick Tracy.
Yeah, he's like, I'm funny. Like, everyone thinks I'm funny. Annette, everyone thinks I'm funny, right? Annette Bening's like, yeah, honey, sweetie, they love you.
Yes, so
you're hilarious.
Any final thoughts on the film or Robin or anything, Javi?
I think I'll say it's not a perfect movie, but so many things could have gone wrong with this movie that thankfully didn't. And they honestly kicked ass because it's a very memorable movie for me. And it's rare for me to like a movie as a kid and then like it also as an adult. So I'm glad.
Yeah, that's a good point. It holds up better than I thought it would too. And also it just feels like such a movie. Right. You know? Yeah. It's just such a like even though it's such an insane, weird movie, I get why everyone went to see it because it has like the feeling of just like a movie. Like if you were to distill the feeling of movie into a movie, it would be something like this.
Right.
Chris Columbus.
Because it's absurd and it's stupid, but it just like feels very homey. And
that's
nice.
why Chris Columbus is like great at what he does. He does the whole like the classic. We want to make a family movie that everyone in the family can just like have a smile on their face and have a good time.
Bicentennial Man.
We'll talk about on that pod that I've never seen Bicentennial Man.
Oh, buddy.
The poster for that movie scared me as a child. I was like 4 or 5 years old and that movie was coming out.
That is a 3-hour movie about the inevitability of death.
Yeah, and you see that and you're like, yeah, it's gonna make this YA book series Harry Potter.
This poster is absolutely fucked, Hunter. You're right.
It was in like Blockbusters
Like,
and stuff like that as a kid, and I remember seeing it when I was probably like 5-ish years old, 4, 5, 6 years old, whenever it was like coming out on Blockbuster Video and everything, and it just scared me. There's a big standee of it in my local video gallery.
Chris Columbus made The Christmas Chronicles 2. Not Christmas Chronicles 1, just the second one.
Yeah. Cool. He's a sequel guy.
Yeah. He also made Stepmom. Any Stepmom fans out there?
Oh, is that the one with Julia Roberts and Susan Sarandon?
Yep.
I'm kidding. I'm just looking at the picture. I've never heard of that fucking movie.
All right. Well, I think that about does it for Mrs. Doubtfire. Thank you so much, Javi, for coming on the show. Anything you want to let the people know? Anything you want to plug? Any Elden Ring tips out there for any beginners?
Yeah, you got any like good like rune mining spots or?
Currently in Volcano Manor. If you go to the Ray Lucari Academy, let the water wheel take you all the way to the bottom, and let the Virgin kill you, you get teleported to Volcano Manor. And if you don't want her to kill you, smash those attack buttons because you can actually wiggle out of there. Wow. As a Dark Souls newbie, that actually saved my life. Like every time after I learned that.
That's real tips.
I can't wait for people to listen and just like be like, you're literally saying like fucking
it's like that meme that Brett sent.
Yeah, just like it's
I almost want to pull
that's
that
what
up
I'm hearing. I've never played such a game.
I was coiled and ready for that one. I was like, ooh, if they want some Elden Ring tips, I know just the one to give.
Okay, yeah. So it's a picture of it's a screen grab from American Psycho of Christian Bale like staring at the business card, and it says Elden Ring players when they spent the last 10 hours dying to the Lord of Anus in the shit fart castle just to get the cockball great word with worse scaling than their starting weapon. I still haven't even beat what's his name?
Margit? Margit.
I can't.
I did it with the help of some friends.
Me too. There's no way. He's too tough.
Thank you so much.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for having me, guys.
Hell yeah. I hope to have you on again soon. Thank you everybody for tuning in, for listening and watching. Please rate, review, and subscribe. Email us, weboughtamic@gmail.com. Follow @weboughtamic on social media. and donate at anchor.fm/WeBoughtAMic. Thank you, all you beautiful donors, for donating. Stick around for more Robin as we get into the rest of his run with Jumanji.
That's gonna be a good one. I'm stoked.
Yeah, it's gonna be real good.
We're in it now.
And more TV catch up. We got Atlanta coming back. We got some new movies coming out with there's that new Daniels movie.
Has Toys
Hell
already
yeah.
come out at the
Yes.
time of this is released?
Yeah, we're recording a little out of order.
Man, wasn't that crazy,
Woo!
listeners? That movie is fucked.
Go back and watch Toys.
Javi, you gotta watch Toys if you haven't watched Toys.
Watch the most insane fucking shit.
We're gonna record about it afterward, and I'm just like, I feel like I'm still like dreaming. Because of that movie.
I was looking at the list on your guys' website, and I saw that Toys was on there. I was like, wait, what is this?
Yeah,
and
Toys is
I
on there with no guest.
Nobody wanted to come up with the Toys spot.
Deemed necessary by the squad.
Thank you
I
so
have
much
to
for
now.
coming on, man.
Yeah.
Thank you
We
guys.
appreciate
Pleasure.
you, and we appreciate all you audience members for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.